The shuttle shuddered violently as it pierced the atmosphere of Varan 9, home of the Galactic Combat Academy. Through the viewport, Eric Hayes watched the sprawling fortress rise from the storm clouds, towers of obsidian metal piercing the sky like the teeth of some colossal predator. Every soldier in the known galaxy dreamed of training here. Most never returned. Eric wasn't dreaming. He was surviving. The ramp hissed open, and he stepped into a flood of alien stares. Dozens of cadets from more than 50 species filled the landing deck. Towering Dravic warriors with 4 arms like armored trees. Insectoid Vekareth clicking mandibles in amusement. Feathered Silari floating with telekinetic grace. All were bigger, stronger, faster. And then there was him. Just a human. The moment his boots hit the ground, laughter rippled across the platform. "Is that it?" someone jeered. "That's a human child, not a warrior." A Dravic cadet leaned down until his fanged jaws hovered near Eric's face. "Little bones snap easily. Try not to scream when they break." Eric didn't flinch. He simply adjusted the strap on his duffel bag and kept walking. Inside the main hall, holoprojectors flared to life, revealing trophies from past Academy champions, shattered exoskeletons, broken cybernetic limbs, memorial plaques honoring cadets who died in training. The air smelt of metal, ozone, and blood. This place wasn't designed to teach. It was designed to break. The lights dimmed. Silence swept the hall. On the stage stood Master Corin Valthrax, the Academy's most feared instructor, twice Eric's height, scaled armor glinting like living steel, eyes burning with cold judgment. His voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. "Welcome, warriors of the Galactic Combat Academy. Here, weakness is a grave, strength is survival." He paced with slow, predatory steps. "Across centuries, countless species have attempted to master dual-wielding energy blades. All have failed. Not one has survived." A wall display illuminated rows of names. Hundreds marked deceased. "It is forbidden. It is impossible. It is suicide. No species is built to withstand the physical, neural, and kinetic strain." Cadets murmured in agreement. A few glanced at Eric with sneers, as if the rule was aimed especially at him. Corin's gaze swept the room like a blade. "If any attempt this, your death will be swift, and your memory erased." The lights restored. The hall erupted in applause and cheers. But Eric wasn't cheering. His eyes drifted to the far wall where 2 swords hung inside a secure energy field. Sleek, deadly, humming with restrained power. They weren't weapons. They were a challenge issued from the universe itself. The other cadets filed out, buzzing with excitement and arrogance. Eric remained still, his breath steady, his pulse slow. He could almost hear his father's voice in his memory. "When they tell you something can't be done, they're only telling you they couldn't do it." Eric exhaled, gaze locked on the blades. "Can't?" Sounds like a dare. And the impossible began to shift. The next morning began with the Academy's brutal training cycle, a schedule designed to reduce even seasoned warriors to broken bodies. Cadets marched into the open combat grounds, where jagged obsidian towers cast long shadows over the arena floor. Explosive drills detonated in the distance. Screams echoed from sparring pits. Medical automatons hovered nearby like vultures ready to collect the fallen. Eric stood among the other recruits, dwarfed by giants, swarmed by species whose bones were reinforced with carbon alloys or who could bend gravity with a thought. He tightened the straps on his worn gloves, feeling the sting of the cold metal beneath them. Master Karen stepped forward, claws tapping against the stone. "Today, we measure your worth in pain." The first trial involved endurance strikes. Cadets would be hit repeatedly by kinetic shock rods until they collapsed. Most took the first blow standing tall, prepared, confident. Eric wasn't prepared for the blast that slammed into his ribs. Pain exploded through him, white-hot. His knees buckled, and the arena's laughter stabbed deeper than any weapon. "Human bones crack easily," someone shouted. "Just lie down and die already." Another strike hit, harder. His vision blurred, the taste of blood sharp on his tongue. A sane man might have stayed down, but Eric pushed his palm into the ground and forced himself upright, trembling but standing. Silence swept the arena. Then came the third strike, strong enough to lift him off the ground and slam him onto his back. The world spun. His lungs refused to draw breath. He pushed himself up again. The silence grew heavier. Even the medical units paused. Master Karen's voice rumbled low, almost curious. "Why do you continue, human?" Eric stared back steadily as he wiped blood from his mouth. "Because quitting hurts worse." Training continued. Sparring matches erupted in every ring, each cadet fighting tooth and claw. When Eric's turn came, his opponent was Jask Thren, the four-armed Dravic champion who had mocked him on arrival. Twice Eric's height, 4 times his strength. Bones layered with armored keratin. The arena roared with anticipation. Jask cracked his knuckles, each pop sounding like snapping branches. "Try not to die too quickly," he said. The bell rang. Jask attacked with overwhelming power, swinging all 4 fists like battering rams. Eric dodged narrowly, each strike carving craters into the stone floor. He couldn't beat Jask by force. He would be crushed instantly. So he watched. Timing, balance, momentum. When Jask lunged, overextending with all 4 arms, Eric slipped under the swing, twisted, and used the giant's own momentum to flip him, sending the towering warrior crashing to the ground. The arena gasped. Jask roared and charged again, furious. Eric pivoted, redirected the strike, and dropped the giant flat on his back a second time. Silence. Not mockery, not laughter. Shock. Eric stood over the fallen champion, chest heaving. Not stronger, not faster, just smarter. Master Karen studied him with a new expression, not scorn, but wary interest. But Eric didn't care about applause or respect. His eyes drifted again to the sealed chamber holding the 2 forbidden blades. The challenge was calling him, and for the first time, the Academy felt fear. Night fell over Varan 9 like a shroud of steel. The Academy's towers glowed with cold blue light, and storm winds howled against the fortress walls. Most cadets slept uneasily, still whispering about the impossible scene they'd witnessed. A human had thrown a Dravic champion to the ground twice. But Eric Hayes didn't sleep. He stood alone in the silent training hall, staring through the transparent energy barrier that sealed the dual energy blades from all living hands. Their power hummed like contained lightning, casting shifting reflections across his bruised face. Every muscle in his body screamed from the day's punishment. His ribs burned with every breath. His knuckles were raw and bleeding. Any rational creature would rest. But humans were rarely rational when told something was impossible. He placed his hand against the control panel. Warning lights burst to life, sirens howling through the Academy. Unauthorized weapon access, level Omega restriction breached. The blast doors slammed open, and alarms thundered across the campus. Cadets spilled into hallways, sprinting toward the central arena.
Some thought an attack was underway. Others thought a monster had escaped containment. In the arena's center, Eric stepped onto the circular combat platform, gripping two fully ignited energy swords, one in each hand. Blue-white plasma hissed violently, vibrating at frequencies designed to tear apart the nervous system of any being foolish enough to wield more than one. His arms shook under the weight of raw power, but he did not release them. The observation decks filled rapidly, faces pressed to glass, eyes wide in disbelief. Jask Thren's jaw hung open. The Solari floated backward in horror. Even seasoned Dravik warriors took involuntary steps away from the sight. Then Master Korin stormed into the arena, his voice ripping through the chaos like a blade. "Drop those weapons at once. You will die where you stand." Eric looked up at him, eyes burning with something terrifyingly human. "Define can't." Korin's pupils constricted. "You don't understand the strain. The neural overload will collapse your spine, liquefy your muscles. Every species that has tried—" "They weren't me." Eric raised both swords, the plasma arcs screaming with unstable force. In response, the arena floor split open, revealing dozens of combat drones, hunter-class machines built for battlefield slaughter. Their metallic wings snapped open, energy cannons charging. The system had activated the Dual-Wield kill protocol, a failsafe designed to exterminate the wielder. The fight began with an explosion of motion. Laser fire streaked across the arena, missing Eric's head by inches. He twisted, pivoted, and slashed, one blade carving through a drone's engine core, while the other deflected a plasma bolt that would have vaporized him. The recoil nearly dislocated his shoulder, but he forced the blade steady. He adapted, shifted, calculated. Drones swarmed, surrounding him in a deadly spiral. Eric flipped forward, sliding under a blast, slicing two machines apart mid-spin. Sparks showered him like a burning rainstorm. Every nerve screamed. Blood ran from his nose. His vision pulsed black at the edges. One sword blocked, the other killed. Both worked together, perfectly balanced. The impossible became real. One final drone lunged with a crackling plasma spear. Eric stepped into the strike, twisted his torso, and cut cleanly through the machine. Its pieces clattered across the tiles and skidded to a stop, smoke rising into silence. Eric dropped to one knee, blades trembling in his hands, breath ragged. The audience was frozen. Master Korin's voice came out as a whisper, horrified and reverent at all once. "Impossible." Eric looked up slowly, eyes blazing with raw defiance. "No, just unattempted." And the galaxy changed in that heartbeat. The smoke cleared slowly, drifting through the arena like fog after a battlefield. Shattered drones lay in smoldering heaps around the platform, sparks crackling against the scorched stone. The air smelled of burning metal and ionized plasma, sharp, electric, alive. Arik Hayes knelt at the center, the two blazing swords still clutched in his trembling hands. His arms shook uncontrollably, muscles screaming in agony. Every breath felt like broken glass scraping through his lungs. Sweat and blood mingled on his face, dripping onto the glowing floor panels beneath him. But he was alive. Alive, holding the weapons no being in the galaxy had ever survived touching together. For several long seconds, no one moved. No one spoke. The silence was a physical thing, heavier than any applause could have been. Then the massive steel doors at the far end of the arena groaned open, and a procession in obsidian armor marched through. The Galactic Council, the highest governing authority in 12 star systems, arrived in formation. Their robes trailed behind them like shadows, their eyes, some glowing, some mechanical, some alien and unreadable, fixed upon the human who had just shattered a fundamental truth of the universe. Master Korin stepped aside, his expression unreadable. One of the counselors, a Silari elder, whose voice resonated like overlapping bells, spoke. "Human, Arik Hayes, explain yourself." Arik staggered to his feet, swaying but refusing to fall. He sheathed both swords with slow, deliberate motion. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to collapse, but he faced them upright, unbowed. His voice was hoarse, but unwavering. "You built a rule out of fear. You accepted it as law because others failed. No one questioned whether it was true, only whether they were strong enough." He lifted his chin. "You say no species can dual-wield. Maybe that was true. But humans don't stop where others do. We break rules. We rewrite them. We push until the universe moves." The council chambers filled with murmurs, shock rippling through the crowd. Cadets stared at Arik as if he were something new, something dangerous. The Dravik champion Jask Thren took one step forward, fists pressed to his chest in warrior salute. "Human, you conquered the impossible. You deserve honor." One by one, cadets across the observation deck repeated the gesture. Vekrith clicking mandibles, Silari bowing mid-air, armored titans lowering their heads. The sound of unified respect built like thunder, until the entire arena shook with the force of it. Master Korin approached Arik, not with pride, not with authority, but with humility. He knelt, pressing one knee to the ground. "Humanity," he said softly, voice echoing, "you are the species that changes destiny." The council turned toward each other and, in unanimous agreement, carved a new decree into law, right there, under the smoke and sparks of a shattered rule.